Well, I'm going to be at it again, and I'm making a custom wedge, and I bet you can't figure out who it's from. Well, welcome back to the McGolf Shop. Jim McCleary, Most Awarded Certified Club Maker, Club Fitter. If you would like and subscribe, that way you get more of these videos when they drop. If you would, follow me on my other social platforms. I'll be flipping around right here. And it would be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Look up McGolf Custom Clubs or I Am McGolf. That way you get to see more of what's going on in the shop. I'm making a wedge again. Now, if you notice, there's a nice green hat, and you're going to see the whole idea here was that I was supposed to make it during Masters Week. Well, thanks to COVID and then lack of, massively quick shipping times, that's my fault, that I had everything except for these. Had everything but for the heads up until yesterday. So we're going to call this one Wilson Wedge Wednesday. How about that one? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to customize a little bit. Now, what makes a putter, wedge, iron, anything custom, right? What makes it custom? Well, in the strictest sense of the term, the minute that I cut to length, bend a lie angle, change a grip, or whatever, and I mean, this is in the strictest sense that, and I made it for you, it's become custom because it's customized to your specifications. Now, you can go to the other extreme and say, okay, well, I want a different shaft, I want a different color, I want, a totally different grip, I want the logos down, I want all these different things, and I want it custom ground. There are some out there where you can buy a raw head and you can polish them up and grind them to a particular bounce, a particular heel and toe relief, a particular way that it looks at a dress. There's some folks out there that do that. I do that, but not on a really large occasion, and it's really an acquired skill. And I enjoy doing it. It's just an acquired skill. So why am I making this custom? Well, again, it was to be for Masters Week, and so I started with a green motif, and I like green. There's green in my logo. There's green in the shop. There's green where we golf, the whole 9 yards. And this. We'll do like this. This was the shaft that I was going to use. A Modus Pro, right? When I saw this thing in green, I couldn't help myself. I like it. I like the Nippon product. I really do. The Modus has been a real winner for Nippon in the last several years, right? And this is their wedge shaft. 115 wedge shaft made in Japan. And that's what it says. It even says when it was made, in March. My birthday month. So we're good to go. So there's a lot happening. Green, right? So then the last bit of it, well, not the last bit, but then the question is what ferrule to use. So what we're doing here is we have the green shaft, and then I have green ferrules. Now I have two different kinds of green ferrules. I have the dark green and I have a lime green. And when I put them up against the shaft, they don't look bad, either one of them. I like a little contrast sometimes, and they're never going to be dead on because they're not made for the same company. However, I will probably just use one for the 56 and one for the 60. So we're going to go with that. And then, of course, I'm going to throw on a green grip. I like the green grips. I've got them on all my clubs now, so it's not going to be any different than going forward. So the other part is, what else does it make it custom? Well, like we've done in the past, I'm going to use some stamps, and we're going to stamp them, and then hopefully this time will be better than the last time. The cool part about this guy here is that there's so much flat to work with, it's hard not to find a good spot. So I'm going to use all three. I've got an American flag, I've got a skull and crossbones, and I've got a 4-leaf clover, and we're going to use them all. We're going to start with the 60 and work our way back, and we'll show you how this is going to go. Okay, here we are back at the vise, and we're going to use the U.S. flag, and I'm going to put it right next to the Wilson badge. We're going to use our sledgehammer, our little mini sledge. I think it's an 8-pound sledge. The idea here is to keep it nice and flat. There we go. And don't be afraid to hit it. And there we go. I got a good one that time. We'll be able to get in there close with that. Nice and soft. Now let's go for the clover. All right, the clover I'm going to put down here by the staff. The idea of what I'm doing is I'm trying to feel to make sure that it feels flat to me. There we go with that one. And then the skull and crossbones, and we're going to just set that one right out here. I think I got a really good spot for it. And there we go with that one. Now you have to be absolutely positively certain that you haven't moved it when you go to do that, and I got pretty good right there. Let's try this again. Okay, we're going to start with the flag yet again. Going to put it in the same spot. There we go. Look at that, got that in there in the first shot, didn't have to worry about it. And I think in this time we're going to switch them around. We're going to put the skull and crossbones right here, and we're going to put the clover in the other spot. Double tap that one. And then the clover, let's see, the clover, there we go. Feels like a little bit of a ledge. There we go. And there we go with that one. So voila, there we go, we've got it. Okay, so that turned out pretty good. I'm not going to paint fill these again either. I don't think that the insignias are big enough to throw them in there. Now maybe I might try to do either the skull and crossbones and the clover, right? But I'm not going to do the flag because it all have to be one color, and I'm just not going to do that. So we might try that, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to go logo down just so I can see make just all the green masters setup, and I like green, so we're going to be okay with that one. We're going to a little bit more of a discussion for custom. So I could add a little bit more weight. Do I want it? No. I like exactly where these weights are at. I like the 115. I like the head weights where they're at. But if I was, if I thought, well, man, I just really don't like the weight, it's too light, I could always put some head weight in there because they have tip weights that will go inside the shaft. Or I could go and get a lighter green grip. I mean, it's all about tricking it to feel the head. But in this particular instance, we're not messing with a thing. We're just going to glue them together. Now the other part is, the shafts, obviously are green. That is a custom setup instead of typical steel or graphite. And talking to the graphite, there are a few companies out there that you can get custom paint jobs on them. You can get a custom color. You can get custom writing. So you can, and all these things you can get more custom. And it's more personalized really is what it comes down to being, right? We want a little bit more personalization, and that's what this is doing. You're making it fit basically your mindset so that when you grab the club, you're feeling good about yourself, you're feeling good about the club, and when you do that, you make way better swings, and with that ends up way better results. And that's what we're talking about. We're going to go in through, we're going to just, basically I'm going to rough them up. I'm going to show you a little trick because of the color. I'm going to rough up the shafts, and then we'll get the glue working, and then we'll talk about the finishing here in just a little bit. Well, welcome back to day 2. And what we talked about before was basically customizing a putter yet again. Now what I'm using is the Wilson Staff Professional, or the Wilson Staff model. We decided that, custom was basically in everything as long as it's made for you. And you can go to the extreme one way or another with paint and colors and all kinds of things like that. And that's what I've done. I'm a big person in green, although you can't tell it right here, but I like green. I have a green Modus Pro 115 wedge shaft with a green ferrule and going into wedge with some green paint type stuff that you guys will probably see here in a little bit. And on the other one, which is my 56, same shaft, just a different ferrule and the same head. I did do a little bit of paint fill. So when you're putting letters and numbers and things, you have to make absolutely certain that you have a nice clear, you have a nice deep area, and that's for the paint to actually grab into. And some of these symbol, the symbol ones I have that I was using don't necessarily go that deep, and so it was kind of hard to do it. So I had to leave some paint on in order to let it set in there, and then I'm going to wipe it off with some acetone. I haven't got to that point yet, but I will. Is that we talked about finishing the ferrule, all right? When you do colored, C-O-L-O-R-E-D, colored ferrules, and you're using black epoxy, if you don't wipe off every single drop of that epoxy, it's going to show, okay? You have to make sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that that's what's happening. Now, so what we have is, I did 2 of them, and I wanted to show you. One I did very, very well, and I just had to flick off a few places, and you'll never see the fact that there was black there. On the other one, it oozed out maybe a little bit, and I might get away with it once I actually start finishing the ferrule, and it might go away, but I wanted to show you that and what it looks like. Now, does it look horrible? No, it just looks like a black line, but it's still a black line. So if you're going for that perfect, mold from the ferrule to the head, this would not make it. The other one would. Okay. Now we're just gonna finish it. This isn't a ferrule finishing video. That's in other ones. I might just throw up a connecting over there, and we'll go do that. So I'm gonna finish these guys up as far as the ferrules, and then we'll talk about measuring for length and the grips that we're gonna go put on. So let's do that. So much like the grit, or much like the ferrules where they're 2 different colors, I'm gonna go with 2 different color grips. Now, I like green, and with the 2 different colors, the green on one of them would just, not look as very good. But you said you like green. You've only said it 7,000 times so far. What's up? Would you stop? And and actually, I did run out, just like I just told you. But they're MCC4s. I like the extra wraps across the bottom, and I just like the way that these feel. And I already have them on my other clubs, so I'm not changing any real feel, so I think I have to change my swing. At least that's my philosophy. So we're going to put on a few grips. Alright, so you saw that happen, hopefully in quick time. We got to bend them to the right lie angle because, as we know, wedge lie angles are paramount for the accuracy of the wedge. And the reason why I picked these wedges is because they are very accurate. And I do go quite a few of these when people finally decide it's cool to hit this kind of a wedge, and they see, and let's face it, when they see the Wilson brand, and I say, just hit it a couple of times and just just hit it and see what happens. And when they do, you get the big googly eye, like, wow, I didn't know that existed. Yeah, so every once in a while you surprise somebody. And so we're going to put them in the bender, bend them, and then it's a matter of testing and playing. So when bending, a couple things. I got myself set up left-handed. When we're talking about wedges in the lie angle, because as the loft of the club gets higher, the lie angle becomes more important because your off-center hits can get bigger, the way that you interact with the turf can be worse, all these different things that can happen. And when you do make a golf club, the thing you want to do is always check the loft and lies, because not every manufacturing process is perfect. It's just not. and so you want to make a look at it. So this one's a 60 degree, and I'm looking at like just 60 and a half and right around 63 and a half. So I really want 60. So I'm going to lay it back a little bit as soon as I tighten it up. Just need to strengthen it just ever so slightly. There we go. Didn't need to go too far. $60 it is. Now I want to go a couple degrees flat. So I need to pull down. Bending is kind of a learned trait because you feel the metal give, and then you know after you've done it for a while you can almost get to where you need. There we go. Just a little bit more. There we go. 56. Make sure I got it in there good. Lock that guy in. Okay, it's a little bit low. Good 56, right on the money. I just need to bend it down about a degree based on what I want. And there we go with that one. And now we're ready to go. I just have to wait for the grip to dry in order for it not to turn. So let's talk a little bit more. All right, just taking a quick few measurements, what I've done is the sand wedge is 467 in total weight and come out to a D0. And the other one, the lob wedge, was D1 and at 472. So it came out, just the way I wanted it. So as far as feel goes, I don't know if you would necessarily think it was a lower swing weight. All right, I think that the way that the shaft balances through it, it's pretty good. But only time will tell, right? So I'm going to let the grips dry. We're going to hit them, and then we'll do just a final account of it, and we'll see what custom's all about. All right, I took the clubs outside, and no, you don't need to be seeing me hit them because this is not a swing channel. This is an equipment channel. And what I can tell you is that I don't ever use the wedges for anything other than a half swing or less, right? So you can have a full swing, a 3/4 swing, half swing, quarter swing, a flop, right, or a wide open type thing, and use all of them. And that's what I try to do from the half down. And what I did is I went out and I hit 5, 6 golf balls a piece, half, 3/4, and then a flop shot to see what was going on, and to knock off some rust because it's been a bit. And what I can tell you is what I was getting out here in 40 degree, very not good weather, was distances that I'm used to getting in the summer. And when it dances out here, because it's longer grass, when it dances, it means there's a lot of spin on the ball. And that's what I don't ever intend on sucking the ball back, but I do like it to stop when it hits, like a 2 drop and stop kind of thing, or a 1 drop and stop. Either way works for me. And I was able to get the shots that I wanted to. The real confidence in here was the slightly added weight in it than what was for my previous wedges in order to be able to actually find the club. And that's what we try to make sets, is from the irons to the next set, or to the wedges, is to make them a little heavier. And so now that we have the green modus with the green and the gray and the 2 different kinds of green, it's working out pretty good. And that's the custom part of it. I was getting the spin, it looked like I was getting the spin that I wanted. I was getting the distances that I wanted, even in inclement weather, and I was able to control it either right or left of where I wanted it. So right now, I'm just super happy with the irons. And if you guys are looking for something like that, at least now you know what to go look for. The Wilson Staff model really was a very consistent model when I tested them when they first came out. I never just got the right feel out of them, and I think that was because I had the improper shaft in it. I put these guys in here, the greenies, and man, you can really feel it coming off the ball, almost riding up the face, although it's on there for a nanosecond, I know. However, it felt really, really good. So I'm happy. So now it's back to indoors in order to, do some work because, well, it's getting crap time, and if I get an extra day, it would be awesome to go out and hit these. However, that's what it's for. Custom wedges, you know what you're doing, and let's see your scores go low.